Hello, Carrie here. Today I'm going to be painting on this lovely watercolour paper some magnolias because they're out in flower at the moment and I love them. So I've been wanting to paint one for ages, so time is now. So what you need is I've got a piece of kitchen roll. I've also got handy some toilet roll. I've got several brushes out. I'm mostly going to be using this No.12 Pro Art. I might use this very fine one for some details later on. In between brush and No.10 maybe, and I think this is a No.6, 7. And also my Hake brush, which is just sat in my water here, which I'm going to use to water the, wet the paper down. Now the colours I've got out are Permanent Rose, Permanent Alizarin Crimson, and I've gone for these colours because if you go for some of the other pinks, like Opera Rose, which is beautiful, unfortunately it will fade, and this is to be displayed on a wall, so it needs to be able to be light fast. Some Cerulean Blue, some Winsor Blue, some Indian Yellow, which I've also mixed a little bit with the Cerulean Blue because the leaves are very, very yellow at this time of the year, you know, a yellowy green. So these colours, this is a mixture of the Alizarin Crimson with a little bit of the Winsor Blue added. So that's what you need. The paper I've got is Saunders Waterford. It's a thick one, so I don't need to stretch it, but I've taped it down all sides. And this is 8 by 8 inches roughly. It might be a little bit over because it's to fit in a certain frame. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to draw on how I want these flowers to go. I've done some rough sketching, so let's see how well this works. I want one of them up here. And I want another one down here, slightly to the right of that. At the moment I'm just blocking in where I want them to be, roughly. And then I've got a little bud that's going to come in here. Oops, a little bit smaller than that if you don't mind. I'm just pressing very lightly with the pencil, because I don't want the pencil marks to show up too much. And then we're going to have the stem coming in. The stems are very interesting on a magnolia plant. They're part of the charm actually. They're almost like hazel, where they're very, very twisted. This is going to come in behind there. And in the background I'm going to have another stem, but that's going to be very faint. And I'm going to just put that on when the paper is wet. Right, now I'm going to draw in some of the details of the magnolia flower. So I'm going to put this on speed. So bear with me while I do that. Okay, so that's drawn out. You probably can't see it very well. Let me put some more light on, see if that helps the matter. There we go. Still can't see it very well. Never mind. I want it to be fairly light. In fact, I'm going to lighten up some of the areas with the kneaded eraser, just so that I've not got too many lines showing up too darkly. There we go. Now I want to paint them loose, which I find very difficult to do, but I'm in training. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to wet it with the Hake brush, and then I'm going to drop some colour in and let it blend by itself. Just wet the page. what I'm going to do is wet it and then allow it to soak in a little bit before I go in with the colours, because then you get a better spread. What I like about the Magnolia, I think, is the fact that it's this gorgeous pink against a blue sky. So that's what I'm going to try and capture here. Just going to wipe the excess off the edges. And now I'm going to patiently wait for this to dry, so I'll be back in a second with that. So now it's dried off a little bit, the wet sheen has gone. So now I am ready to go in with just some of the colours. Put some of the pink, very lightly in some areas. I'm going to spray this with my water squirter to help the colour spread out, and I'm going to add some of the blue. A nice cool blue, because usually it's a cool sky in spring here. Might be different elsewhere, but here it's quite cold still. And I'm going to get my water squirter, give it a good old squirt, and then I'm going to move the colours around, encourage them to flow. Test by feeling the temperature of it. If it's still slightly cool, it is still fairly damp, but I want it damp because I want these to be in the distance, and they're going to bleed out very gently, which will suggest them in the distance. I can't see the other line that I drew in, but never mind, I think it was there somewhere. There, we'll let that stay. Okay, so that's nicely dry. I'm going to come in with this brush, the number 10, and I'm going to start putting some colour down. I'm going to work on this one first. Now, the beautiful thing about Magnolia is the deep pink it has nearer the base of the flower. Now, I must remember that I'm doing this loose. I'm not doing this petal at the moment because I don't want it to run into that one. So I'm going to move on to the next one. Oops. I can't rely on lifting off colour, so I have to get this right straight away. Alright, where does this petal go? It starts here. Then it goes paler towards the edge. Lovely. I love the way that disappears into that pink there. I've got a bit of a... no, we'll leave that. A leaf coming out, a petal coming out the side. I think I'll work on this one and let that dry a little bit That's a good thing about having two. And I've got this bud here to do as well. Right, I'm going to work on this one. This has got a lot more deeper colour at the base, which will be fun to do. Right, now I'll let those dry a little bit, and I'm now going to work on the stems, the branches. Actually, I've got some green here. I'm going to put some of the leaves in, and this branch, this end of the branch here that's gone green, I think it's a leaf. Drawing a leaf there. I quite like the fact that it's mostly branches and flowers on this type of plant. I think that's what I like about it. It's kind of stark. I've got the same on the stem of this, on the base of this bud is fairly green. And then it has a hint of pink. And this is the permanent rose, which is a cooler pink at the top, at the tippy top. Actually, that's a little bit too dark, but let's lighten it now. Get it to meet the green so they can blend together a bit. There. And now I can work on the branch, the main branches that you can see. I'm going to go in with the light colour at first. The beauty of the branches are these fantastic twisty, knobbly shapes that they have. Keeping it loose, keeping it loose. Trying to tell myself, keep it loose. Don't be too tight. Right, now I'm going to put in some more leaves. And they're very little, the leaves that are showing, which I quite like as well. And you can see buds that have more leaves growing. Now I can work on this large petal. I'm going to work on this little petal here, which is quite pale actually. I wonder if I can remove some of that blue that's there. Let's try to see. I don't think cerulean is too staining. It's not coming off. Wet it, lift it off a bit. Lift it off there. Lifting off is one of my favourite techniques. I like to take the paint off as much as I like to put it down. There we go, it's coming off. Lovely. I can't do that with the Alizarin Crimson because it is very, very staining. You get to know after a few few decades, after a few years of using watercolours, which colours you can lift off and which colours you can't. It's worth bearing in mind, especially if you're like me and you enjoy lifting off and you want to use a colour that you know doesn't. So I removed some of that blue, which is a lot better for that petal. That's better right now. I can use the pink. So this is a paler pink, so I'm not going to overdo the amount of colour on this one. It's just got a little bit in the centre. Then it runs up to the top very slightly. I need to wet it some more. Don't want too much colour on there. Like so. That's good. I need to do something on that one. It's not looking quite right, is it? Never mind. Now this one is very, very pale. Very, very, very pale. You can barely see it. And I'm going to leave it like that. So I more or less got just water, but with a hint of pink. Because that's the inside of the petal you're seeing on this one that I'm painting now. Whereas the others you're seeing the outside, mostly. And similarly with this, where it's got the folded over bit, you're seeing the inside and it's a very pale pink. So you can barely see that. I will do something to make that stand out a little bit later. And I'm going to finish off down here. Because there's this petal here, which has got a darker edge, so that'll be nice. In fact, I might use a very faint, very fine brush for that. Hasn't got that line on the edge, but this petal needs to be slightly wider. So this one I'm going to come in with some very pale pink again. So I'm going to go through and I'm going to soften some edges now. I don't like this hard edge on this. So just with a wet brush, I'm just going to go, careful where you put your hand, go over this edge, soften it. Because a round thing, as the roundness disappears, the edges are fuzzier. Okay, so that's dried now, and I'm going to go in and I'm going to tighten up some areas. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to darken up the base a little bit on the petals. Right, and now I'm going to come in and work some more on the branches. Put in some shadow areas. Now once again I'm going to come in and darken the dark areas. This time I've added a little bit of the Winsor blue, just to make these areas stand out a bit better. When there's folds, separation areas, I want to be a little clearer. But I don't want to do too much of this because I don't want them to be dark, dark, dark. Are you new to my channel? If so, please subscribe. I really enjoy doing florals. I enjoy doing landscapes. I enjoy doing portraits as well. So over the next few weeks, you'll see a mixture of all these things. Let me know down below in the comments if you're new to watercolours, because I do envy you if you are, because it's fun to learn. When I first started watercolours, I was totally obsessed. I had to paint all the time because I loved it so much. Put a spot of tiny dark there. Tiny bit of there. I really must stop fiddling because I've got to bear in mind I want this to be loose. I was quite tempted to put some splatters on, but I don't think I'm going to. I would like some kind of defining line around that. So I'm going to come in with, what shall I come in with? Some of the pink. Just pop a bit of an edge onto this. It's quite often, that's nice, it's delicate. Quite often they have a bit of an edge, but a very, very fine edge. There we go. Loosen it up, that's nice. I'm going to do something up here for this one as well. I mean, it is standing out a bit better, and this one. Try not to put my hand on it. Lay that down so I don't spread paint everywhere. Let's tidy this up a bit. It's a bit wobbly, isn't it? Not sure that was such a good move. lifting it off again. All right, try this again. That's a bit better. Really, I need to stop fiddling. We're thinking loose, Carrie. We're thinking loose. So here we are. I finished this painting of Magnolias. I've been wanting to paint these for ages. I think I've managed to keep it loose, which is quite hard for me because I'm kind of used to doing a lot of detail, but I'm working on being a loose painter these days. Let me know if you liked this video. If you have any suggestions for other things you'd like to see me paint, please put it in the comments down below. I'll be very interested to hear. Comments are always welcome. I love to hear what other people say. And if you enjoyed this video and want to subscribe to this channel, subscribing is free. Hit the subscribe button. It'd be lovely to have you here with me. And I'll see you again soon. Bye.